Today on Passion for Food, we'll be making these delicious Suya spiced smashed potatoes. Suya spice is a delicious roasted peanut spice blend originating in northern Nigeria, and I will be showing you how to make that. Today's video is a collaboration with Just Cook with Dustin, so check out the description for a link to his channel. Let's go ahead and get started. You can, of course, simply buy Suya spice, which I did the first time just to give myself a point of reference. The easiest way to make this would be with a coffee grinder, but I know not everyone has one of those, so I'll show you how to make it without one. All we'll need is a bowl and a flat bottom glass. Make sure it's flat, no little ridges, please. And first up here we have 2 ounces of salted roasted peanuts, that's about 28 grams, along with 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon each of cayenne pepper and chili powder, and half a teaspoon each of garlic powder, onion powder, and ground ginger. So we're basically just treating this like a mortar and pestle. We're going to use this glass as the mortar to crush up our peanuts with these other spices until we have a consistency that we're happy with. I probably looked at about a dozen Suya spice recipes in preparation for this video, and I've noticed that some people really prefer their Suya spice very fine, and some people like it a little coarser, so just follow your heart on that one. I went with a semi-coarse consistency on mine. It still has some little chunks of peanuts that you'll see, but for the most part it's a nice fine powder that we're going to wind up sprinkling on these smashed potatoes. So let's get a pot of boiling water ready, and we do want to season that with about a tablespoon of salt. And for our potatoes, we can really make these any size we like, but I like leaving them the same size that I would make for traditional roast potatoes. And all we want to do is simmer these until they are nice and fork tender. And once they are, it's time to pull these off and give them a quick chill so we can work with them without burning ourselves. It helps to dump out as much of the boiling water as we can. What doesn't help as much is getting the camera all steamed up so no one can see anything. Anyway, once the fog of war has passed, we just want to fill this up with cold water and let it sit for 5 minutes or so until these potatoes are cool enough to handle. We can actually do this ahead and just keep it until we're ready for it. So let's grab ourselves a sheet pan covered in some parchment paper, and we'll go ahead and get smashing. But before we do, I do like to butter the bottom of this parchment paper. It just gives the texture on the bottom of our smashed potatoes a nice little buttery crunch. So let's grab one of our hopefully room temperature potatoes, and you just want to smash that into a kind of a patty shape on the pan with your hand. I like mine about 1 inch thick or a little bit less, but you can really make these in just about any size or shape you would like. Let's do that one more time. You just want to grab a potato and kind of palm it with your hand and just smash it flat on the parchment paper, just like that. If it breaks apart, that's no big deal. Just squish it all back together. You'll be fine. So let's use a little magic just to smash out the rest of these. And once they're all done, we're ready to add the Suya spice to our Suya spiced smashed potatoes. So let's grab our homemade spice mix, and you can see it has a really nice consistency to it. Although, like I mentioned, you can actually just order this stuff online. It's actually packaged and produced in Nigeria, so you know it's authentic. I'll put a link to this down in the description if anyone would like to try that out. So let's go ahead and season these potatoes. And I like to use quite a generous portion of the Suya seasoning. It's not overpowering, so don't worry about that. And once we're happy with the seasoning, we're going to grab about 5 or 6 tablespoons of melted, salted, grass-fed butter. I do like salted butter for this, although you could just add a little extra salt. And we just want to pat all of these down with butter, getting that soya season distributed and really glued on and in all of those little nooks and crannies. And once we've buttered our Suya potatoes, it's time to whisk them off to a 425-degree oven for about 30 minutes or until the edges are golden brown. At which point we'll pull this out, and I highly recommend letting it cool on a cooling rack for at least 10 minutes. That will actually help them crisp up on the bottom a little bit more. So let's grab a plate and try these delicious Suya roast smashed potatoes. You can see the bottom has achieved a great color thanks to that butter. It's a little bit crispy and a little bit soft. These really make an awesome flavorful side dish, and it's a little different than the traditional roasted potatoes. As I mentioned earlier, this video is a collaboration with Just Cook with Dustin. I decided to make these roasted Suya smashed potatoes as the ideal side dish, and he made a roasted pork tenderloin with apple and fennel that looks like it would pair just amazingly with this. So check out the link in the description to see that video. So I'll just leave you with this. Do you know why you need to keep an eye out if you start working in a potato factory? Well, because you don't want to wind up with a chip on your shoulder. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode of Passion for Food. If you have, give me a thumbs up below and consider subscribing and hitting that little bell so you don't have to keep your eyes peeled for our latest episode. This has been Graham with Passion for Food.